stay. Remember, all leaders will be court-martialed for treason. All detainees must be searched, tagged, and inventoried before interrogation. Reminder, food and drink are prohibited in the server room. Mandatory polygraph testing has been moved to Tuesday. IAA departmental softball is held every second weekend. IAA Renditioner of the Year will be announced next week. forget to place any cafeteria orders before 6 p.m. We are now implementing a 360 feedback process. If you see it, say it. Facility atmosphere at critical. Please replace air conditioning filter. All registered threat levels are currently at Gamma 7. Remain calm. Have a nice day. Remember, all leakers will be court-martialed for treason. All communications are being monitored. Protocols S32 and N6 remain fully in place with no exceptions. The IAA is a nut-free facility.
Perfection.
Anniversary of the worst attack on American soil. September 11, 2001. We must remember that date. We must always remember that
All
date. We must never put it behind us. We must never say, well, it's in the past. Let's move on. We can never move on. The other thing that we must remember is that we're not any safer today, maybe less safe than we were on that day. And part of the reason is because this administration has eviscerated our military. We've not gone after our enemies, and our southern border is wide open.
Matt, what happened in 9/11 was a crime against humanity, and America should always remember that and work diligently to make sure that that never happens again, because no government can keep its population fully 100% safe. So we must do our due diligence system to make sure that if you are successfully striking America, we will hunt you down like the criminals you are, and you will pay the consequences. But also, I think that we should do a better job of the subject, educating the American public. The first time that airplanes were used to kill hundreds and potentially thousands of people in this country was not September the 11th. It was in the 1930s in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when on a Sunday afternoon, white people who were jealous of the prosperity of an entire black community as well got in airplanes and bombed their people and killed hundreds, and some studies say up to 4,000 African Americans were murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma using airplanes.
What has that got to do with 9/11? What has that got to do with what the hell we're talking
about?
Because you said, how do we remember? And what I want you to understand is we should remember 9/11 the same way we remember Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Because
and
that
what that terrorist act against black people.
Let me explain something to you, kNOw. These people in the Middle East, like ISIS, they want to kill you, they want to kill me, they want to kill your kids, they want to kill everybody. So instead of making this a racist argument, let's talk about Americans. We're all Americans, right?
And Matt,
so let's protect this.
The hundreds, potentially thousands that were murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma, were Americans being murdered and slaughtered by terrorists who were Americans also. So don't tell me that when white people are slaughtered in New York, and yes, they were, and black people died too.
Talking about
all races died in New York.
There were Catholics, there were Muslims, there were Jews, there were Asians, whites and blacks.
Yes,
all
a
kinds
crime
of people
against
killed.
humanity. But remember, the first time it happened was when you did it to black people in Oklahoma using airplanes. Chickens come home to roost whether you like it or not.
Wow, man. You know what? The reason why this country is in such dire shape is because people like you have lost focus on what made this country great.
America, they didn't make this country great. Everybody in this country made America great, but pay all of its citizens the correct homage and treat all of us equal. The first terrorists were not them from Arab. It was white men in America.
Yep.
I love the game. I love the hustle. I love the game. I love the hustle.
But I love the game. I love the hustle. I love the game. I love the hustle.
What would you please talk about?
What it do?
What's up, family? If you've never seen a coon before, I want you to pay very, very close attention to these pictures. Notice the hat. Looks very out of place, like he's trying to fit into a particular group that he doesn't belong. Check out the shitty mustache and the perky lips, like he's been kissing ass all day. Notice the coon-like eyes. They're very descriptive. Looking like they're stuck, they're trapped. They're trying to get out of something, maybe their own body, their own skin. Looking, searching for an escape. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a coon. He's a tactical puppet who is used by conservatives to demonize the black community. This is a coon. His name is David Clark, former sheriff of Milwaukee. Coons come in all ethnicities, but the worst type of coon has got to be a black man who is abjectly servile and differential to whites, also known as a house nigger, a Sambo, an Uncle Tom, a race trader, a graham cracker, an Oreo, a buck dancer, a slave, and the title that coons all over the world enjoy most being called, especially David Clark while he's butt naked laying in bed with his cowboy boots and hat on while listening to Elvis Presley, the white man's bitch. Y'all check out the video and leave your comments. No more talk.
Former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark was in the hallway here. He was here yesterday, I think, doing MSNBC. I said, well, go holler at him, see if he'll drop in on the show. He was on the show previously via Skype. He's here. Sheriff Clark, how you doing?
Fantastic.
All right. First and foremost, we see what's happening in Las Vegas there. A lot of discussion about gun control. Should there be action taken by Congress to move on guns? Police departments across the country are saying it makes no sense to literally have individuals with this kind of firepower who can wreak havoc on this country?
Sure. First of all, this kind of firepower is already banned in the United States for private citizens. And as human nature goes, someone is always going to find a way. You can make all the laws you want. We have gun control in this country. To pile more gun control on top of that punishes law-abiding citizens. Let me give you an example. There are estimated over 200 million gun owners in the United States of America. Much less than 1%, much less than 1% would ever take that instrument and use it in that fashion to slaughter people.
But we have a lot of mass shootings in this country compared to other countries that are similar to us. And when you have, I mean, I've talked to a number of folks in law enforcement who say more can be done. They said there can be more advanced background checks. There can be more changes when it comes to gun shows. I mean, these are law enforcement officials who are saying to politicians, y'all have got to do more policy-wise. These are your fellow law enforcement folks.
Well, look, we can have differences of opinion within law enforcement. When I look at some of the stuff that causes the violence in our urban centers, little of it has anything to do with background checks, amounts of ammunition, those sorts of things. So we have to work on the right thing. Every time one of these incidents happen, these unfortunate incidents, I think it's because we're trying to achieve, when I say we, someone's trying to achieve a political end. Right away they go to the NRA, right away they go to more gun control. When, let's look at this situation in Vegas. Right now this investigation's ongoing. There's a long way to go with this. The things that you mentioned, I want to know what role that played in this situation. Like in San Bernardino, like in Orlando, Omar Mateen with the nightclub incident, and any of the other mass shootings. What do they have to do with background checks? What the Sikh temple shooting in my county, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all those people passed a background check. So when we say we need more background checks, we already have that stuff. So what I don't want to end up with is the law of unintended consequences. And what we end up doing is we end up making it harder. We punish people who weren't involved in this thing. In other words, if I go to buy a firearm, and I've done this as a private citizen, it's a very steep hurdle to get to. It's not like you could drop into a 7-Eleven and just buy a firearm.
One second, I got to go to a break, but even the majority of NRA members support advanced background checks as well. So hold tight 1 second. Welcome back, News One Now on TV One. We're joined by former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. First and foremost, you're now with a PAC that is advancing the Trump agenda. Yesterday, he was in Puerto Rico, and he talked about the Puerto Rican debt has gotten lots of criticism because of that, and also going after the Puerto Rican, the San Juan mayor as well. Could he have handled Puerto Rico a heck of a lot better when you have a 3-star general who said on the ground, we don't have enough resources down here to get what needs to be done? Many felt he did not show proper compassion for the folks that are bringing up their debt.
Well, first of all, in political back and forth, there's always these things that are lobbed, Could he have done it better? I'm not going to get into that, okay? He gets blamed for a lot of things no matter what. He cannot, in some circles, he can do nothing right.
Sound like Obama. 8 years with a lot of Republicans who said he couldn't do anything right.
All right, but the Puerto Rican situation, first of all, you had the hurricane come through there and nearly wipe out the island. They're still trying to get the power back on. There's work that needs to be done, and it's going to take some time. And then always when this stuff is thrown into the political realm, these things come up, the Puerto Rican debt, which is an issue.
But at that time, though, to me, it doesn't matter what your debt is. At the end of the day, when you got people who, Congressman Gutierrez was on here, he said they're literally burying folks in their backyard.
Right. You're worth no fucking money.
Talking about debt.
But
I mean, Florida has debt. No one, and I'm from Texas. No one was talking about the debt of Florida and Texas when the hurricanes there.
I don't think they have the debt in Florida like they have in Puerto Rico. But here's the thing. Somehow we got to restore power in Puerto Rico. And those people who are responsible for that need to get that done, regardless of all the political back and forth. The mayor of in that area probably could have and should have done some things differently too. So you can say that all around. But the main thing for me is
she was wading in the water, going door to door, trying to say anybody's alive. So she was doing some work.
She spent more time before the camera instead of rolling up her sleeves and getting down there and getting some of it. And that's the political environment this has been thrown into now.
Yeah, but she was wading through the water.
Mr. Clark, I'm glad you're here, man. Listen, if Paddock had yelled Allahu Akbar or said perhaps Black Lives Matter, I think that you, if based on your comments before on both those organizations and others, probably would have said that this was an act of terrorism. So I want to ask you very directly, since the origin of this act in Vegas, was an act of white America, is this an act of domestic terrorism?
The investigation is not done.
No, because if it was Black Lives Matter or Allahu Akbar, you'd say terrorism, would you not?
First of all,
would you not, based on what you said before, brother?
You presented me with a hypothetical.
No, not really.
You said if, that's a hypothetical.
Yeah,
if he had done this, but he did not do this.
Well, how about this? Should we call Steve Paddock a domestic terrorist?
Yes, that's simple.
That's for the authorities in Vegas and the FBI to determine and put a label on what this incident.
But Black Lives Matter.
No, I'm just curious. Would you call Paddock a domestic terrorist?
I don't have all the facts of the investigation.
What about Black Lives Matter?
And I usually always preface when people ask me about these incidents. I usually start off by saying, first of all, I do not have all the facts. I have not been privy to any of the investigation. So anything that anybody asks me about is supposition. All right, but we could sit up if he had said Allahu Akbar, but he didn't. Mm-hmm. So to ask me that, if he had said Black Lives Matter or whatever, but he didn't. So you say deal with what happened, not what might have happened.
Spencer.
So this debt in Puerto Rico, I just don't understand how it's related to helping them. I mean, I don't think that they're less worthy of help because they have some debt, right?
Sure. Okay, fine. But the fact is that once these things enter a political realm, it goes to crap. It really does. And the charges start being made back and forth. Okay, you want to get hung up on, I don't mean you personally, people want to get hung up on the issue of him bringing up the debt. Okay, fine. But that's not going to help anything from this point moving forward. Power has to be restored, and this country has to be allowed to get back up on its feet.
Literally, I got 40 seconds.
In regards to
for
Vegas,
question and answer.
In regards to Vegas, I agree with the sheriff. The thing about it is, I went to school in Tennessee.
Do you agree that semi-automatic weapons?
No. What I'm about to say is...
Let's go. I got 30 seconds.
What I'm about to say is the facts around this case have not been stated. We're all speculating right now as to what took place out there. And until we get the facts... Until we get the facts... we can't call it that,
right? But just like real quick, when the president before what happened in London, he immediately called an act of terrorism, and we didn't have all the facts. So a lot of times in America, we do weigh in before we have a full investigation. I got 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Part of the human condition. All right, we jump to conclusions, and I usually caution people about that as well early on, because I've been involved where I was at the tip of the spear on these types of investigations. Got it? It's human nature.
Blacks are the chosen race. What about white people? I would have to ask you that. What about white people? I'm asking. We're both human beings. Blood that runs through your veins is equally as red as the blood that runs through mine. You think you're in some way, shape, matter, or form superior to me? Of course, you are. So all black people are superior to white people. By God's own ordination, yes. Then why in our society, for example, is the black race or African Americans experiencing so many problems that they're experiencing? Well, you know the answer to that, and the... No, I know, that's why I'm asking the question. The cynical tone in your voice doesn't erase the fact that you know. It's due to the wickedness of white America. White people all over the world, white people all over the world have gone into the house of black people, brown people, and red people, robbed them of a knowledge of self, taken their land over, renamed the land, colonized them, enslaved them, and put them under their yoke and way. So whites are in the superior position, no matter what the social, political, economic, or religious order, because of the wickedness and the underhandedness of the white man the world over. Sir, but not all white people are evil, wicked, or endorsing. Sir, I have never enslaved any human being. Let me finish my point now. I've never enslaved any black person in my life, nor would I endorse that or support that. I certainly look and view the slavery or the history of slavery in this country, for example, as evil, reprehensible, against the will of God in our society. Many white people fought for the freedom of slaves. Many people risked their lives, as did Harriet Tubman, during the Underground Railroad to see to it that that evil was changed in our society, and I think that was a good thing. I think when you look at the marches of Martin Luther King, white, black, together marched for equal justice in our society. Certainly, you're not going to impugn the whole race of white people, are you?
What I am going to say after such a strong statement is that whenever there is any sign of what even appears to be righteousness and that which appears to be a spirit for justice and fair play and fair dealing, I am not one who would blanketly criticize that. If indeed that is your spirit and your personality, and if indeed you can point to many others who are that way, then certainly I would respect that.
Then why should I have respect for you if you don't equally respect me in that vein, if you look at yourself as far superior to me?
I am not one who would just look at myself far superior to you, but let me point this out to you. White people, you should be having this show with one of your own. White people teach that they are the father of medicine, the father of music, the father of history, the father of philosophy, the father of the sciences, the father of all of the disciplines of the world. I think that is a very ethnocentric and a very racist, white supremacist view. They teach us that angel food cake is white, devil's food cake is black. You wear white to weddings and you wear black to funerals. It's not good to lie, buddy, but if you must lie, it's all right if you tell a little white lie. If one is the black sheep of the family, blackball you, blackmail you. If I go to the pool room for a little game of pool, you got a white shiny ball on the table, knocking the hell out of the black ball, the brown ball, the red ball, and all of the balls of color, and the worst ball on the table is the black ball. If I go to church, you got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned white Jesus, when the Bible says that Jesus is a man with nappy hair and black skin. So white supremacy runs throughout every phase of white society the world over. So my position on this show this morning is not to establish some grandiose and way out black supremacy, but to fight white supremacy and meet it head on.
And do you think most Americans, especially white America, is racist and against you to the degree that you're
most white Americans.
What percentage would you say?
The United States government boasts about the fact that it is a government where where the majority rules and the minority has to go along with the
what degree of American?
So if you have an overwhelming majority of white folks who are so fair and good-hearted in America, why haven't your overwhelming majority of white folks stepped forward to do something about the wretched condition of black people here in America?
Oh, haven't we made some strides in terms of no strides in 1960, none at all?
No, let me tell you why I mean that.
I would like you to explain that.
During Reconstruction here in America, there was a civil rights bill passed at that time. Black people held all kinds of political positions, and it looked like a period of political turn after slavery for black people in this country. There was even a voters' rights bill, and all of that was passed. But when white folks got sick of that, they blocked the doors of Congress. They drove black people out of all the political positions. And so 100 years after that civil rights bill, another civil rights bill had to be formed and fashioned. Now we're debating and arguing with George Bush over the voters' rights bill. We already had one. That means it wasn't worth the paper that it was written on. Look at all the treaties that the white man signed with our brothers and sisters, the Red Indians. Treaties that would wrap around the globe and then some, and broke every treaty that he signed with the Indians. We can't trust that anymore. Can't trust it.
Let me ask you this. Why is it then that let me ask you a question. Why is it then that so many African Americans today are making it in an inclusive society? Why are they becoming successful? Why are they prospering? If America were as racist as you're describing it today, I'm talking about mainstreams like Oprah Winfrey, the multitude of talented black African American athletes in our society, the talented African American business people in our society, the Colin Powells, the Arsenio Halls, and the list, the Bill Cosbys, the list goes on and on and on. Are these all Uncle Toms? Have these people sold out? How would you describe and categorize these successful blacks in our society?
These are very God-gifted and very talented black people. But they are also, Mr. Hannity, exceptions to the rule. They do not reflect, nor do they represent the poor, suffering masses of black people.
Why aren't you there? Why aren't you there helping them instead of creating this animosity and hatred and race divisiveness?
We create no animosity and hatred.
It's not animosity. You're not creating animosity to white people listening to this program when you arrogantly step on your high horse and say that you're superior to whites?
I'm not concerned with what white people think about what I'm saying on your program, nor am I concerned about what you say and what you think. But let me point this out to you.
Yes, sir.
Over 20 years ago, President Lyndon Baines Johnson organized the Kerner Commission. And the Kerner Commission, this prestigious, pristine presidential commission, was to go out and study throughout America and determine the main problems in America dealing with the races. They came back with conclusive proof to the president and to the White House that the #1 problem in America today is white racism. They said there are two major situations here. Two Americas, one black and one white, separate and unequal. 20 years later, today, the Kerner Commission has reconvened, and they say that the problems of yesterday are worse today than they were yesterday. It makes no difference that black people are mayors and that black people are public elected officials. The masses of black people are still catching hell, and if our condition is worse, in spite of all of these what appears to be surface window dressing games, then it really means nothing.
Oh, so these people are just flukes, just very talented people that have...
Well, I'm not going to sit here and let some devil attempt to put me in a position
I'm a devil?
where I'm criticizing my own people.
Am I a devil?
You're attempting some devilishment on this program.
I'm a devil?
You speak against my sister Oprah Winfrey. You want me to speak against my brother Bill Cosby.
No, sir.
You think I'm some lightweight, so you want to push me in a corner to say something against him. There is a devil who would try that.
Oh, so I'm a devil.
You're acting like
I'm
one.
acting
Are
like
you
a devil.
one?
No, sir, I'm not a devil.
Well, don't act like
so
one.
I'm not acting like one. No, sir, let me tell you. Let me tell you, sir. I admire the talents and abilities and contributions of African Americans, wherever they might come from. See, my vision, sir, of America is far different than yours. As you see, I see this should be. But what I see is, well, I don't think so. I think America is meant to be an inclusive nation where all people can prosper and be successful.
It didn't start out that way.
Well, if you let me finish my thoughts, I allow you to speak uninterrupted here.
Certainly, you're right.
What I'm trying to point out to you is that if America is going to be inclusive, if we're going to create this avenue or window of opportunity for all people, what I would like to see, instead of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or some of the racist bigotry that you're spewing on the program today, I would much prefer that we see black, white, decent, good, wholesome Americans that believe in values that are strong, family-oriented, that will keep this nation strong, going forward, working together, and becoming successful. You don't share that vision. You would much prefer the separatist vision.
Would you like for me to speak on what I do feel, rather than you be my spokesman?
I'll tell you what, as soon as we
Are you my national sister?
Would you like me to be?
No, sir.
Considering I'm a devil, you wouldn't want that to happen. We'll take a break.
The devil is my national sister.
I'm a devil. Come back, we'll talk more with Khalid Abdul Muhammad. He's the national assistant to Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. And we'll open up the telephone lines this morning as well if you'd like to be on the program from Huntsville, all of Madison County, 830-2277, 830-2277. Toll free this morning if you're on cellular 1 at star 770. And you can join us from Limestone County, 232-3911. WBNI News Talk time now is 10:20. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of the Sean Hannity Devil program coming up next, right here on AM 770 WBNN. Now, good morning, and thank you for listening to AM 770, the Sean Hannity program. Some categorize this as the Devil's program, as we talk about the issues each Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday. You can join us 2 to 4 in the afternoon as we have our in-depth dialogue and discussion about the issues of the day. Khalid Abdul Muhammad joins us, National Assistant to the, you don't like to call him Reverend, but to Louis Farrakhan of the Nation.
Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we're talking during the break that you find it interesting. What do you want for the Nation of Islam? You want a separate nation, is that right?
We want freedom and independence, however that can be achieved. If indeed white people are willing to go through the painful and painstaking process of mental and spiritual and moral and ethical change, then indeed we as black people, since we've been here in America, we have fought for many years to be included in the mainstream of white America. Now we have determined that as God's hand is stretched out of judgment against America, that we must do something for ourselves and we must build a nation of our own. That is not to say that it is to be a nation so separate until we want to rule over white people. We have no desire to rule white people. We want to express kujichagulia, or self-determination, over our own destiny. If we have a hospital and white people are ill or need attention, they would be welcomed into our hospital, and we wouldn't use them as guinea pigs the way they use us in their hospitals today. If you need a loan and you're qualified and you came to the black bank, we wouldn't redline the districts the way you've done against us. If in our political structure, we wouldn't set up gerrymandering and all of the redistricting in our system, we would have fairness. We could never treat white people the way they treated us, because God just didn't make us that way. He just didn't give us that kind of heart.
Let me ask you a question. If I were to say all blacks were drug addicts because of the actions of the few, would you find that offensive? Because there are black drug addicts in our society.
I don't find anything offensive that white people say.
Okay,
if you said that, sir, it would be all right with me.
Okay, let's say a black person said that. Would you find that offensive?
No, sir. If a black person said that, I would know that they have been robbed of a knowledge of self. They've been brainwashed by your people, and we would take the time and the love and give some care and sensitivity to the situation to try to open their eyes.
Well, the point I'm trying to get to here is that bottom line is the way you talk about white people, you put them all in this one category as if they're all racist, they're all against black people. You're impugning the character of the white race.
I believe that there are some white people who do good.
You do?
I believe that there's, I don't know if they are good, but I do know that there are some white people who do good. But let me say this, you've got to understand the sensitive nature of this. When white people came to America, they didn't just come in showing open hatred for the Indians and just killing Indians and mowing them down. They came in smiling at them, winking at them. They pretended that there was loving, caring, and sharing. The Indians taught them agriculture, taught them of their customs and ways. They even intermarried. But as soon as the Indian dropped his guard and the white man learned the ways of the Indian, they destroyed the Indians in a mass genocide plot. Now the original owner of this nation is selling moccasins and blankets on a reservation because they trusted the white man. When the white man came to Africa, he didn't just come in killing black people and showing open, bitter hatred. He came in as a friend and a sincere advisor. He came in and we rolled out the carpet for him. We gave him the best of our society and our world, and now we are held captive as slaves inside of America.
So the blacks and the Indians and the minorities in our society of angels of light and the wicked white people have always decimated any other race besides themselves. That's what you're saying?
I told you you're not my national assistant. You're certainly my Huntsville spokesman.
I'm your Huntsville spokesman.
I couldn't have said it any better than that, John.
That's your viewpoint on that.
That's your viewpoint, and I like it.
You like that?
I like it.
It's not my viewpoint, though, because what I hear in you is somebody who's extremely racist, biased, and bigoted. And
you're not extremely racist, biased, and bigoted.
Well, you are racist.
You cannot compare me with the Klan.
No, I certainly could. Absolutely.
No one has ever enslaved the Ku Klux Klan or David Duke or the skinhead. No one has ever robbed them of their name, their language, their religion, their culture, God. No one has done anything to them.
Let me ask you a question. How long are you going to stay in the past? How long are you going to stay in the past?
When are you going to move in the present? I just gave you the report from the Kerner Commission. We also have here the National Urban League, State of Black America. Jet Magazine just did a study that was done across the nation after 28 years, how much of Dr. King's dream has come true, and studies are being done all over. But if you're sitting here in a one room in Huntsville, Alabama, sitting behind a microphone being cynical and racist and bigoted every day, then you don't know what reports are out there in the world.
Saying
I'm in another city.
Are you saying, what city are you in? Oh, you travel around the country every day?
All over, but I'm from New York.
You're from New York, that's where I'm from. But the bottom line is, I want to ask you this, why is it then that some African Americans are making it in our society? They're very talented, they're making contributions. Why do you impugn the character of them? Why not talk about the
never impugn the character of them. That's your devilish way to attempt to say that that's
my devilish way.
That's what it is.
So this is incredible. Let me ask you this. What do you think is going to be the future of race relations in this country? Do you think we're going to have race wars? And are you going to be at the heart of it?
Oh, what kind of silly little childish question.
I'm asking if you think whites are the devil and they've done all these terrible things, you want to go to war against the white people?
I believe that there are some whites, I don't know how good their heart is, but I do know that there are some whites who do good.
You think their whites can get to heaven?
Some whites. I know that there, let me finish my point. I know that there are some whites who are standing up against their own people for the injustices that have been perpetrated against black people and dark people throughout the earth. But I can't trust them the way the Indians trusted them, the way my forebears trusted them in Africa. Even if I closed my eyes, I could never close both eyes. I'd have to always keep one eye open.
Let me tell you something, sir, because I am an Irish American. My grandparents came here from Ireland in the early part of this century. at a time when in Boston and New York and in Philadelphia it said outside of almost every shop, Irish Catholic need not apply. Within my family history, there is a large degree of racism and hatred and bigotedness that my family had to go through.
That's white-on-white crime.
Okay, and there's plenty of black-on-black crime in our inner cities today.
Nothing to compare with the millions that white people have killed in their major wars.
And you are blinding yourself to the truth, sir.
The white mass murderers, the white serial killers, and the Gacy's
and black selling each other, black selling other blacks drugs and shooting each other's and drive-by shootings and Crips and Bloods.
Robbed of a knowledge of self by white people.
Oh, blaming white people for their problems. Blaming white people for their problems.
When you take a people and completely destroy them, what else do you expect? Nobody ever destroyed you, but you murder millions of people and
I've never murdered anybody, sir. I've never dropped a bomb on anybody, sir.
You're trying to drop bombs on this radio.
Sir, I'm not trying to drop bombs. You're just
too light.
You're a bombastic little
come on out with it.
What's about? You got a problem? You're getting upset? You want to calm down?
Come on out with it. You're just stumbling and
no, I'm not. You're an ignorant fool.
We are ignorant fools, if I'm one, because you are certainly complimenting me.
But I
came in the spirit that you're giving me. I attempted to talk to you in the hall. I get you to turn this volume down, to let you know what my true spirit is. But I said you continue to conduct yourself as a devil. And I said to you, as long as you do that, that's what you'll get from me. Now, if you want a more intelligent conversation and exchange, I will give you that.
But why don't you talk to the caller?
Sean is a devil. I will, but I said that Sean is acting like a devil on the program, but he is not.
The whiter. Sean is a devil. You just said I'm a devil. You think I'm a devil, Todd?
I don't think so.
I mean, look, if I'm the devil or if I'm the epitome of evil, so you should...
I don't believe you're the epitome of evil.
I'm just I'm a lightweight devil. I'm a lightweight evil devil here, so...
Interracial marriage, sir?
No, sir.
Are you against that, Todd? Do you believe interracial marriage is wrong morally?
I don't think it's wrong.
Let me ask you, what do you think about what the Khalid Abdul Muhammad is saying on the program today? Do you find it offensive? Do you find it shocking? Do you think he's going to be at the forefront of a major racial war? Are you going to be? Do you think he's going to be at the forefront of a racial war in our society? What do you think about the hatred that he's spewing?
Well,
I'm spewing love for my people.
Yeah, but
I'm not necessarily anti-white. I'm pro-black.
Hatred towards the black race.
I'm against anyone who's against us, sir.
I'm not against you. I would like to see you be the
Don't you conduct yourself much better on
Why don't you stop calling me a devil and evil and all these things?
If you ask me that way, I will stop calling
Sir,
you.
by your definition, it's a devil, sir. I don't go around calling you a devil. I've treated you respectfully on the program. That's a lie. Todd, what do you think? Do you think this type of hatred, do you think that's going to create animosity between the races? What do you think about African Americans?
Todd, have you heard hatred? That's the question.
Todd, have you heard hatred?
Did you hear me say that we don't want to rule over white people? We just want to rule ourselves.
Did you hear him call white people evil?
I called you evil.
You also called white people an impugning.
You're a representative of the white race today.
And every white,
and a poor one at that.
Every white person is a representative of the white race, and according to you, they're all great.
All are representatives, and some attempt to conduct themselves much better than you are today.
What do you think about that, Todd?
Well, I tell you, he says that that the black race is superior and intellectually, superior to suppressed. I really don't believe that.
Who's superior, Todd?
I don't think either one are superior.
Nothing is equal in the universe, Todd.
So he thinks blacks are superior to whites. Do you believe that?
We're the father and mother of civilization. We're the father and mother of music and science and law and government and mathematics and morality and ethics. We're the father and mother of the disciplines of the earth, but now the history books and the textbooks all are lies that the white man has put out there.
So what you're saying is that black people are just oppressed and
lied.
If you release the oppression, then they'll rise above.
Well, the white man doesn't have to relieve the oppression. We're not asking him to do that. God is going to take the oppression and bondage and the yoke of bondage that the white man has placed on us off of us. We don't want to give him that much power that we have to sit around and wait for the white man to remove the oppression from us.
Todd, thanks so much for the call. We appreciate Abdul Muhammad as we talk with this lightweight, devilish talk show host, Sean Hannity. Back to the phones we go. Bill from Huntsville, you're live on AM 770. Hello.
Hi. I'm white, and I'm a pastor of a church in Huntsville. And we spend a lot of time, lots and lots of time out in the streets of Huntsville, and the housing projects and the streets deal a lot with young black Americans. And And I feel in my heart as a Christian, as a pastor, that God really wants to do something amongst the black race. I see a lot of, just as Mr. Muhammad, as his name says, I see a real breakdown in the home, a breakdown in the family, a total collapse. And I think personally the problem is illegitimacy. The problem is a moral collapse. And what I see as a Christian and what God is calling people to is taking responsibility for their lives. And the Bible calls people to repentance, not pointing the finger at other races. And I feel as a pastor that if that the only reason that the nation of Islam and demagogues like that have any voice at all and any power at all is the failure of the black church to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in the neighborhoods and in the streets. And if they would do that, and call black people to take responsibility for their lives through the power of God, that the Nation of Islam would have no authority and no moral voice at all. That's what I feel. That's all I really got to say. If you want to address that or answer that, you can.
Okay, would you like to address that, Mr. Muhammad?
No, sir. We can next caller.
I appreciate that. We got to take a break. We'll come back. One open line, 232-3911. If you'd like to be on the program today, 232-3911. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Good morning, and thank you for listening to AM 770 in the Sean Hannity program. We're here live Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, Saturday, 10 a.m. till 12 noon, as we talk about the issues of the day. Khalid Abdul Muhammad joins us, National Assistant to the Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we're taking your telephone calls this morning, 232-3911. Reverend Farrakhan has said on occasions that Judaism is a gutter religion. Do you believe that?
Minister Farrakhan has never said that Judaism is a gutter religion.
I heard it myself on Bill Donahue.
No, you heard it out of context. What he said exactly, I was present. He said, now that nation of Israel has not had any peace in 40 years and will not have any peace as long as it is structured on injustice and as long as, in paraphrasing, a people have been displaced and dispossessed from their homeland. He says, while you shield your dirty religion. Now, what he was referring to, sir, was he never mentioned Judaism anywhere in the entire speech. He never said Judaism. He never mentioned it. He was saying that if the world of Christianity would practice Christianity, the world would be a better place rather than professing it. As the gentleman said in a convoluted way, the previous caller, if the world of Islam would practice Islam and not just preach it, the world would be a better place. If the Jews would practice Judaism and not just preach it, the world would be a better place. So he was saying, your practice is different from what you profess and what you preach. They preach Judaism, but they are practicing their own dirty gutter religion. If they embrace Judaism, then the principles, the moral principles and precepts of Judaism as revealed by Moses in the Torah would make the world a better place. But that is not what they're doing.
Let me ask you a question. There was a journalist, his name was Milton Coleman, and if you remember, he was the one who put forth the statement by Jesse Jackson.
I remember it
using
well.
Town, and he was angrily labeled Uncle Tom by Mr. Farrakhan, and he and others...
He is a Tom.
He is an Uncle Tom.
Of course he is.
Because he told the truth about a statement made by Jesse Jackson.
He violated the canons of journalism, and he violated the sensitive and very close and intimate relationship that a personal friend has with a personal friend. It was said off the record. It was understood that it was off the record. And then he didn't even have enough courage to leak it to the press under his own byline. He did it under someone else's byline. I would say that not only is he a Tom, but he's a hypocrite, and he should not be considered a friend because of the serious violation of that.
So if he tells the truth about a statement made by a public figure like Jesse Jackson, you consider that Uncle Tomism?
However you want to word it, sir, I've made my statement.
Okay, I have another question. I'll tell you what, why don't we go back to the phones. First, we'll check in with Chuck from Tony. You're live on WVNN and the Sean Hannity program. Good morning.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Good, great time this morning.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Muhammad, I have a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Muhammad, you don't think he's bigoted against white people?
I don't. I'm not going
No.
to make any comments on that.
Yeah, why you gonna throw that up there like that,
I'm
dog?
an intelligent man.
No, cool.
Like you, I'm an unintelligent, uninformed, devilish, lightweight talk show host. Go right ahead.
Calling in for some serious dialogue. You obviously don't want that.
No, of course not.
Okay, I think that some of the points that Mr. Muhammad made certainly have some validity, and perhaps if I was from that culture and, like he was saying, where people came in and were exploited, I would feel the same way. But what I would like to know is he made a statement that the white man had robbed the black man of his history and of his culture and of his God and everything. And I imagine that he would say that the white man did a pretty complete job of that. Is that so?
Yes, sir, he did a very thorough job.
A very thorough job. Okay. Well, then what I'd like to ask is, if that's the case, and the history has been totally obliterated, how do you assert that the statements about being the father of medicine and the father of culture and all this things that you're claiming that the Afrocentric type of thought, where does that information come from? If the white man had done such a thorough job of obliterating it, there's obviously wouldn't be any records of it.
No, sir, you're misunderstanding the process.
Okay.
What we have to understand here is that we're looking at America, and we should see America as a room. And the slaves are here in this room, between these four walls, robbed of their name, their language, their religion, their culture, their God, their folkways, ways, and norms.
I said it
But
too.
nothing was
We all
outside of this room. The manuscripts are still there.
You see, because in the beginning, it was all about the love.
Still there.
Now it's all about bullshit and fucking each other. It is what it is.
But they were not made available to the slave inside of America. If the slave were caught even reading, the slave was beaten severely or killed, or his tongue was cut out. Anything that showed the slave beginning to reach out, as Dr. Haley pointed out in his book Roots, which was just a modern version, inside was trying to learn and to hook back up with our ancient past was destroyed inside of America. But now we have black people that travel all over the world, scholars and scientists who are digging at the manuscripts and in and out of the great temples of higher learning and enlightenment of the world and reading the hieroglyphics. And this wisdom has come to us, and also God has raised a man in our midst, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and now the honorable
like I said to y'all, I listen to everything that everybody have to say, but I believe nothing that anybody say. But I have faith in the heartbeat in you that you tell me the truth, because I ain't nobody to lie to. Period. So I'm not a kid no more. So I don't have a belief system no more. I have either I know or I don't. Fuck all that bullshit.
Sir, that white people have been the #1 perpetrators of all of these things that we have mentioned on this program. Have you met many throughout the earth? Have you met many righteous white people in your life? I haven't met one, sir. You haven't met one? Not in your entire life. Would you like to introduce me to one? I would be happy to meet one. I think you're looking at one, but you think I'm a devil, so that's okay. If you can find one anywhere, I'd be happy to meet you. You've never met, and most black people, are they righteous in your view? Most of the ones you've met? All black people are righteous by nature. Oh, okay. This is learned behavior. These are the circumstances of 400 years of slavery, suffering, and death. These are 400 years of being manipulated.
When he said that, he told the honest truth to anything that he could possibly be saying that could ever be the truth. We, the brown people, the first people to be on this planet, began this planet with the creator being love. Period. All the rest of this bullshit is the after of that. Period. That is the reason why I can give you 4 periods of your life, 4 words beginning with L, ending with E, to show you that there is no ending to the everlasting beginning, being the creator of everything. So like I say again, to those of you who believe in bullshit like you was taught to believe in, like you was taught to believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. What makes you think that they didn't lie about anything else after that? Come on, people. Wake the fuck up from the fucking fairy tale bullshit. Shit.
Active campaign information is available in the briefing room.
Oh, they ain't let me have that. They ain't let me have that. Nope. They ain't let me have that. So I'll kick that back out. Let's see if I can get on there.